Welcome back, everyone, to the All Things Plastics podcast, where we dive into the world of plastic surgery and all that it entails. Today, we have a special guest. I will be introducing Lauren. She is a powerhouse in the plastic surgery industry. She's based in Santa Monica, California. Lauren is a creative director and a brand strategist who runs a social media agency specializing in plastic surgeons and aesthetic providers. Her journey started with a passion for skincare, leading her to dermatology, aesthetics, and ultimately plastic surgery in Beverly Hills. Not only has she helped doctors with their brands, but she also is going to open up about her surgeries with some of the industry's best. So get ready for an unfiltered conversation on beauty, branding, and breaking the stigma around plastic surgery. Welcome, Lauren.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and such a nice intro too.
Girl, it was a mouthful, but you deserve it. You are our first social media agency branding girl. So you're going to give us all the insight. So it's going to be really, I'm excited for it.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. So thank you so much.
Of course. So tell us how you got into owning your own social media industry and getting into plastic surgery in Beverly Hills.
I feel like it was a learning curve because I did start in skincare. And I love that. I feel like, I learned it kind of from the ground up. I was just interested in learning more, got into like Botox and fillers, like more of the aesthetic stuff, the lasers. And then eventually I kind of was thrown into it when I started working at a dermatology office for Dr. Emmer. And they were like, we think you would be perfect for this. Was editing there, posting, doing a lot of social stuff like the stories, and just uploading. And then I started creating like a strategy for us because we would be posting like 3 times a day. So
yeah,
we would stagger, like we would try to make everything make sense. So from there, I feel like I learned so much, especially from like my peers. Went from there, I learned everything I could in a big team, and then left and was working with Dr. Gavami for like 4 years. Running the ship by myself. So I'm glad I had that. Yeah, it was a lot because I was there full time, 5 days a week, posting 7 days a week, and then trying to come up with, post for 3 channels or 3 social accounts.
Different platforms.
On multiple platforms every day. And so I think from there, really I learned so much. Like I knew what I was looking at when I was in surgery in the OR. I knew what I wanted to look at. And then also as like a patient, I knew the results I wanted to see and how I wanted to see them online. So I went from there, and then I realized I can do this for multiple people. So I ended up splitting apart and then started taking on my own clients in like aesthetics, aesthetics, with nurses, and then also estheticians, and then multiple different kind of like surgeons, all around LA. Oh, and in New York too. So it was pretty cool.
She's bi-coastal. We love that. And I feel like, social media marketing teams or people or agencies, not a lot of people get, I would say, the luxury of going into the OR or working with these plastic surgeons. And it's almost like when you get thrown into it, right? No one is like, I'm going to go be a marketing person for a plastic surgeon and go in the operating room. Like, that's very unheard of. So, for our plastic surgeon, she's a young girl, but she knows how to work social media, but it's her first time in the OR. And I kid you not, she's fainted twice. And, she's good now, but we're doing an open tummy tuck and we're doing the abdominal wall, and she fainted in the operating room. And it's like, I feel so bad.
I hear that a lot. I tried getting my brother to get on board, and he was starting to get very like white from just seeing lip filler.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, it's not for everyone, but I
love it.
Yeah.
People's fear of just seeing needles, but imagine cutting someone open on the operating room table. You're like, holy shit, this is a little too much.
No, I think I can handle all of that. I can handle the tummy tucks. The thing that I feel like cringes me a little is the breaking the nose in rhinoplasty. It's it's just an insane feeling. Like just breaking and hearing the bones crunch it's a little, it's crazy.
Same with me. I'm a nurse. I'm an operating room nurse. I've done, different types of surgeries, but still breaking of any bone, I'm like dying inside.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm like, just call me after you do it and I'll come back in. I'm right, you see me
Yes.
like right on top of like narrowing the bridge, and I'm like,
Yep.
oh my God.
Yes. So crazy. Once you see it, you're like, oh my goodness, it's mind blowing, truly mind blowing.
Yeah, it is, and I can't believe the healing process after that too. It's amazing, honestly. I love it.
Yes. Now, working with multiple plastic surgeons and you've built a career around branding, what do you think makes a surgeon stand out in today's social media landscape? Like, what do you tell them to do, or what do you see that, like, this is what's going to make them stand out? This is what's going to pull in clients. This is, a good seller.
I think honestly, being relatable, trying to, I have honestly two different kind of surgeons, well, a bunch of different kind of surgeons that I work with, but I notice the more personable and more relatable, the more talkative and, wants to hop on the camera they are, then I see that doing very well because somebody
Mm-hmm.
wants to feel like they know the person that they're following, or you know what I mean? Like when you start to build that connection online, I feel like you're like, you know what? This drives me to go and see you. I want to go see this person in office and they have great results. I could be their friend. I know they're going to take care of me as a patient. Like this is who I want to go see. And then I have some
Yeah.
surgeons who really don't like being on social media, and I understand that.
Yes.
They're just not into it, and so they kind of rely on me to, continue their brand, strengthening their audience. I think it's reconnecting. Sorry, strengthening their audience, and then I mean it doesn't do as well, but we try to do the most to continue their brand, as much as possible. I want to say the
Yeah.
person that is putting in the same amount of work as me is doing
Ooh.
is going to be doing better. Sorry, did
It,
it
like, you
disconnect?
totally went away and then you came back.
Oh no. Okay. I'm like right
So
by
far.
my modem, so I'm hoping that it's staying.
So far, it was so good, but 7:30. I'll make note of it to fix.
Okay. I'll repeat that last part too.
Yes, please.
Yeah. I think the surgeon who is putting in the same amount of work as we are is going to continue, just strengthen their brand even further. Because if you're in it as much as I am, you're going to see so much reward. Because I can only do so much, especially on your stories. I think you need to clock into your stories personally every day. Like I can come up with cute, fun little like fun facts and stuff. But if you're in office and I'm not every day, take a couple photos, videos, post them on the daily, just showing
Yeah.
what you're doing. People love to know what you're up to, and I think
Yeah.
that really strengthens your brand and following, and
Yeah.
makes you a little bit more successful online.
And it's sad to say, almost a lot of the younger surgeons are now overpowering the older, wiser surgeons just because the older ones, they don't want to get on social media. It's too much for them, which it's very true. And they're like, I built my whole career without social media. Why do I need it now? But the young ones who don't have as much experience, who have a good marketing team, who have a good social media girl, are climbing the ladder much faster nowadays with little experience. And that's because of social media and being personable and showing day in the lives and showing inside the OR. So it's very crazy to see a lot of patients are choosing the younger, kind of less experienced surgeon just because they're on social media or just because of their following.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to say like a great example to that is Dr. Faryan Jalalabadi in Beverly Hills. He is
Mm-hmm.
young. I've known him actually since he was doing his fellowship with Marina Rocks.
Mm-hmm.
And we were friends like then. And he had, I don't know how many followers he had, but he wasn't so into his social at that time. But once he really leaned into it, he was just
Took
growing
off.
exponentially. Yeah, and he's a great example. I mean, he's easy to listen to. He delivers a message very clearly, and he doesn't really need too much crazy marketing. It's just, hey, listen, this is what I know. This is what I can share with you guys. Come in, this is what I've been doing too, showing his patience. I think he's a great example of a young surgeon just kind of
Yeah.
killing it online.
And even, us doing our research online, I come across a experienced surgeon. They're a little bit older and they're just sitting behind their desk like, let me tell you what a tummy tuck is, and is using medical jargon, not like, and it's like swipe, like we're no, like
Here's the difference of implants, like like same with
yes,
silicone. Like, hi, okay, we get it. Well, I get it, but I want to hear more in-depth stuff. Like, I want to learn things that like that only you and I behind the scenes really know. Like, I want to teach that to people outside, you know what I mean, online. It would be cool or I've tried working with older surgeons who aren't as tech savvy or like social savvy. I would love I always try to get them to kind of break through that, because those are the ones that have so much experience, have so many stories to tell. It's just hard for them to understand the value of it. So
yeah. Now, speaking on surgeons, you've worked with a handful, more than a handful. Let's answer this. This is some tea. Have you ever came across a surgeon's social media profile that you could tell they edit their images?
Yes.
Like, you have like a theory, like, ooh, they altered this a little bit, or ooh.
Yeah. How are the ribs short, like smaller now? Like, how are they more narrow? And it's always like the photo before and after on the table. It's never like further out, like, of their healing journey. You can tell a little bit. I think a lot of it, from what I've noticed, has been in a lot in Miami. There's a lot of Miami like stuff. It's crazy.
And excuse me, I have had a lot to say about Miami, and I try not to trash Miami. There are a lot of good surgeons out there, but there's a lot more negative stuff going on out in Miami than positive. And not just saying that because we're from Beverly Hills, but Miami is shady. They are shady boots.
So
I
shady.
can't. With prices, with everything, prices, surgeons, processes, everything is just so shady.
Yeah, the way they have patients or their surgeries stacked up back to back to back every day is crazy to me. Like, I thought a surgeon doing 3 surgeries a day, like body surgeries, was a lot, and it is a lot. Especially if it's like a BBL. Like, there's no way you can do 6 in a day. Like, how are you?
You're almost unsafe. It's almost unsafe at that point, because you're, probably rushing. You're on time frames. Are you even doing the suturing that needs to be done, or is that your tech doing the suturing?
Oh, and I've seen that. I've seen that in surgery.
I've seen it too.
I've seen anesthesiologists closing up a tummy tuck. I'm like, excuse me?
I have never seen an anesthesiologist close up a tummy tuck. The day I see that, I would probably tell my surgeon something. Oh my God.
Like, it's time to go on Indeed.
It's time to go on Indeed and find a new job.
Yeah,
That's
honestly,
crazy.
With that situation, the anesthesiologist is probably better. But,
but that's crazy. But what are like a couple tips? Do you have any for the girlies that are, looking to get their body done, and they're looking at a lot of, because we tell everyone, look at before and after photos similar to your body type, right?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have anything to kind of tell them, like, beware of this or this that you see, so they can beware that photos aren't altered, they're on Facetune,
Yeah, I think if we're talking about having realistic body types or looking at body types that are similar to theirs, I think for a lot of women, and even myself, like, it's hard to kind of be like, okay, what does my body actually look like? I think we have like an idea in our head, or we look in the mirror, but then when we have a friend take a video of us, you're like, oh, I didn't know I was built like that. Like, how do I think that's a big thing. I think the first things first is kind of trying to take realistic photos of yourself, because I'm guilty of it. I love a little cinching of my waist on Facebook.
Of course.
Like, when I'm posting on my personal stuff. But when you're trying to compare yourself to other patients and trying to go for this surgeon or that surgeon, as for editing, it's kind of hard to tell. It's hard to tell if it's just like photos. Videos, you can even edit that too.
I know.
So you kind of have to take everything with a grain of salt, because I know a lot of girls who will be like, oh, I want to go to this surgeon, but all of the patients that he's seeing are like these petite girls that can handle a big, I'm talking about BBLs, but like they can handle like any fat that's redirected to like their hips are going to give a huge difference. But if it's like a bigger girl with like a wider rib cage, or someone just holds a little bit more, just is holding a little bit more excess fat like in their stomach, that's who you want to go to, surgeons who are taking these patients more often. So you really have to look at the demographic of patients that a surgeon's seeing, because I see a lot of people that'll send me like, oh, I want to go to this guy, but they're not
operating on your body type.
Exactly.
And I want to do a video or another podcast. I'll explain. There's different body shapes. There's A shape, there's square shape, there's rectangle, like not rectangle, oh my God, triangle shape. Like, there's different shapes that surgeons will sometimes describe bodies. And so you really have to find out what your body type is, I would say even get a consultation. Go get, if they, a consultation somewhere and say, what is my body type? And if someone tells you, then go and run with it. Like, okay, I have a triangle body type. Let me go match that up with other people who have similar or something.
Yeah, and then be like, is this realistic? Is this result that I'm seeing realistic for me? If it's not, what is realistic? Or how can I get to that, how can I get there? Because a lot of times girls will be like, yeah, I'll just do a quick BBL, I'm done. But sometimes you need a little bit more than that. Like some girls will need a tummy tuck with it. People don't really take that into account. They think there's just one surgery that's just going to fix it. And I think
I
think that's a huge thing to talk about before going into surgery, is just figuring out like what you're working with and how we can get to the result that you're looking for. Even for myself, I've dealt with this. Like I'm still dealing with it, trying to get to, the body shape that I'm like trying to, or just like try to get to something that I'm comfortable in. I don't know.
Yes. And what would you say, like, what are the biggest misconceptions that you see that people think about plastic surgery? Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, please tell me first and then I'll.
No, like say, I'm sure people ask you what your occupation is and you're like, oh, I do marketing. I have an agency for social media. What do you do? Oh, we work with plastic surgeons and plastic surgery and aesthetics. And I wonder, like, what are some like misconceptions? Like, oh, you probably work with this, or, oh, you probably see this. Like, I'm so interested to like, if you heard anything or anyone's ever told you anything or that you noticed.
Oh yeah, I think when I first meet people, their first reaction's like, oh, like you must, like these people must be coming out looking crazy. I think everyone still has this misconception in their head that everyone looks botched. Everyone has pillow face. Like everyone's dealing with needing to dissolve. That we're doing crazy unrealistic
transformations. Yeah, you're out here walking out like Black China. That is not the case at all.
And I think something that I start to like, once I start to show them like the people that I work with and the results that I've been a part of, or like the journeys, then they're like, oh, wow, this is actually really good. You would never tell. Like you could never tell that this is actually a result from plastic surgery. Like this person was born with it almost. And that's where I feel like I have to, I can tell them what I do, but I think it's better when I show them the people that I work with and how well these surgeons, work. So,
and
it's really interesting.
And a lot of patients come in nowadays, they don't want this ginormous booty. They don't want these ginormous breasts. They don't, you know what I mean? They want subtle, they want cleaned up, they want natural, they want a little lift here and there. So people's the perception is still old school mentality that you're getting plastic surgery to look crazy.
Yep, it is. It's still that way. And especially with people that are, have never done anything, have never really even had a facial before, they still have that imprinted in their head. I know even for my dad, he had a CO2 for the first time like a year ago. And he was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to look crazy. I'm going to look fake. And I'm like, Dad, nothing's...
It's CO2 laser, sir.
I'm like, please.
Yeah.
But it's just funny to, see that mindset actually change as they're going, like as they do it and realize like, you know what, in moderation, it's not that bad. Or like, it's not like there's so much that has changed and, has gotten so much better. The technology since the 80s from now, like even like 10 years ago to now, like it is changed drastically. Yeah. And I'm so glad. It's so cool to see so many people, love it and want to keep building, towards better technology.
And I love, social media, it's a blessing and a curse to all of us, whichever way we look at it. But bringing, agencies like yours and social media pages, bringing the spotlight to plastic surgery and showing how many different types of people get it and what they get and why they get it. I feel it's just a lot more education is going around to everybody. And it's going to take a long time, right? Plastic surgery is still taboo. It's not as taboo as it once was. But word's getting around that, not everything, you're not going to come out looking crazy.
Yeah.
Unless you want to.
I know, unless that's your goal. And we listen and we don't judge.
Sometimes we judge a little bit. No, I'm just kidding.
We have the resources for the revision, so
yes.
We got you on that. But no, I'm excited. I mean, I think like my purpose, honestly, being in this industry is to help break that stigma of like, being botched and looking crazy. Like I really want to be a person or like an advocate to be like, listen, like this is not, we need to break that stereotype of look like that doing anything is going to make you look crazy. Because that's the first thing you tell someone, hey, I'm interested in doing my lips. They're like, oh, don't look crazy. Like, you're going to look crazy.
Yes.
And it's like, it's not like that. Like, if
Yeah.
you go to the right people, the right providers for anything, that's not the case.
Yeah. And what
So,
breaks my heart is, moms of four or hardworking lawyers, or they come in and they're like, oh, I didn't tell anyone I got this done. I'm like, who's your emergency contact? Like, who am I going to call? God forbid if something goes wrong. They're like, well, like, I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell my mom. I didn't tell my boyfriend. I didn't tell this. And I'm like, girl, like, someone's got to know you're getting something done. And they're like, well, like, I don't want anyone to judge, or they're going to have opinions and they're going to say, like, I want to look a certain way. And all they're getting is mama four. She's breastfed for how many years and she wants a nice lift, but people are going to assume like, oh, she's going to go and get implants and a lift and come out looking like a porn star. And it's like, no,
yeah.
like it's so sad when people can't talk about it freely, even to their friends or to their family.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's so interesting to see the judgment, even within like people that are supposed to love you like the most.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my family has been very like they've never judged me in doing anything I want to do. Like I even had my parents pitch in for my BBL.
Get it, girl.
Like I am very fortunate, but I have friends that can't tell like their parents. Like they could never say anything. Even doing like Manjaro, they can't even tell their parents. They hide it in like teeth whitening
Yeah.
containers in the fridge because they're so
Yeah.
scared for anyone to know that
Yeah.
things are the things that they're doing. So it is really
Yeah.
unfortunate, but I'm hoping that with platforms like yours and voices like ours, we're able to start helping break that stereotype.
Definitely, definitely. Little by little, we're trying.
Exactly.
Now, you've been very open about your own procedures. And was there one, I mean, if you would like to tell everyone what you have gotten done, and then we'll go from there.
I am the most open book. You can ask me anything and I will answer. Trust me. I am so open with my surgeries. Like, that's
Love
my
that.
favorite thing.
And it helps people who aren't.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
get a lot of DMs actually daily about the things I've done and thanking me for being open about it. So I'm here. I'm a girl's girl. Like I'm here. I'm a surgery person.
Give us all the tea. What have you gotten done? And I mean, if you remember the years, you can go ahead and throw them in
Yeah.
or start from beginning to end or whatever.
Oh yeah. So I first started my like surgical journey in 2019. It was it was amazing. It was honestly the best thing I've done, or it was the best, honestly. So I first started with buccal fat removal, then I
Hmm.
did chin jaw lipo, and then fat transfer to my high cheekbones and jawline and chin. The chin I think died out a little bit, but overall best decision I've ever had because I always dealt with like very, very big cheeks.
Yeah.
I'm Latina, I'm Mexican, so I know a lot of people from where I'm from specifically, we kind of hold a lot of fat in our cheeks. Like my mom,
Hmm.
my aunts, like they all have the lower cheek fat. We have excess buccal. So I knew I was going to be a great candidate. I think a lot of people are really scared of that, doing buccal.
Yeah.
Just some people are not a candidate. It's not for everybody. But when you are, it is transformative and it will, age gracefully with you.
Hmm.
So I did that in 2019. That was game changer for me. I feel like it really shaped my face. And then in 2022 or 2021, I don't even remember, I did BBL. Well, it's called an S curve, but basically a
Hmm.
BBL. Fat transfer to my hips, buttock, like all of that. And that was
Okay.
it. It had a good difference. I think it could be better, to be honest,
Hmm.
but it was the difference for sure, nonetheless. I also did buffalo hump removal, which is just lipo to like the upper
Did
back.
Yeah, did you do that separately or along
No,
with your you did it with your lipo BBL?
yeah, I did it with my
Okay,
lipo
yeah, yeah.
BBL.
I was like, if you went for that separately, girl.
I know. That would be like a Wednesday afternoon for me. I'm like,
Yeah.
let's just target this real quick. But I did that, and it was great. Actually, I love that. I feel like that was pretty awesome. The scars are really not visible from that procedure. They're all like tucked in, like my armpit, top of
Hmm.
my buttock, like all of that good stuff. So it was a pretty easy procedure. The recovery wasn't it was kind of a lot. Like I will say, if you're a very active person or you're just always hustling, like I feel like you need to really carve out a good amount of time. And
Forces
then,
you to slow down.
oh yeah, for sure. But I'm glad that all of those procedures were done in my workplace, so they understood the healing process from that. And
Yes.
then I did a breast augmentation in 2020. Oh, I did ovally in 2023 as well.
Okay. Did you
Um,
like that?
so it was good. I think it was good. I was a lot heavier when I did it, and then I lost weight. But I think I saw, not I think, I saw a difference in like,
Yes.
especially after BBL. A lot of people don't understand that things are going to become more, they're going to show a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
When you have more weight holding on to like your buttock, like you're going to start seeing things that you didn't see before.
Yes.
And so I
And
don't,
for really quick, for those who don't
yeah.
know, I say avelli. It's pretty much if you have cellulite in your thighs and in your buttock, it is this minimally invasive procedure where you do not have to go to sleep. You could be awake and go to the doctor's office and get it done. And it kind of, I want to say, cuts the like the little fibers, the bands. So
Yeah.
it reduces the look, it reduces cellulite. And there's a lot of transformative photos that you can compare. And I've seen it in person. I've seen photos, and it is really interesting. And I don't know how much it cures over time, but if you have some cellulite, and like you said, you're getting a BBL, or even you don't have to have a BBL to get it. The Avelli is honestly, it's really good because there's nothing else that treats cellulite right now.
Yeah. I
That's
even
like our
see,
only option.
yeah, I think it's great. Honestly, another thing that is really awesome about it is that a lot of people who are going in for BBL and they have like kind of very tight skin to the muscle or whatever it is, like if you use the ovule, I've seen surgeons starting to do this. They're using the ovule to kind of create space, and then in
Oh,
2 weeks before your or 2 weeks until your BBL, you go in for the BBL, and it kind of helps because a lot of people have tight hips. So
yes.
if you're making the space there, I mean, it's not on brand or anything for ovule, but if you make the space there, it kind of helps. It just kind of helps with the creating or allowing more space or more fat to go into like your
I
hips or in those
now
tight
not
areas.
Yeah, none of our surgeons have done that, but that's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to be in another procedure where they do it because I would love to film that.
Yeah, definitely. But go ahead with what you're saying. So you got the Veli before your BBL or after?
I got the ovule after, yeah.
Okay.
I got it afterwards, and it was good. I think it was pretty good. I mean, I feel like I didn't have that much cellulite to begin with, so I really never. I need to go back and take after photos, but I feel like
Yeah.
it was a pretty subtle result for me. But I think I've seen really crazy results where it's like night and day. So I think I know it works. And then I had a breast augmentation, I think a couple months
Mm-hmm.
out or a month or two after that. I'm the kind of person that's like, okay, I want something, I'm gonna go do it because I just know myself. I know what I
Yeah.
want to do, and I'm not like once I make that decision, like I'm ready to do it immediately. So I did that. I had a breast augmentation. I think it was pretty good. I think there's some things I would change. I would love to be high profile. That's one thing that I didn't even think about because I was so used to moderate profile implants.
Oh
Um,
no, go
yeah.
high or go home, girl.
Yeah, I'm like, dang, why didn't I do it? But I'm not gonna change it. Like, it's just so much work to go back into
It
surgery.
is.
Yeah, so I'm like, I'll live. And then I did. What did I do after that? Oh, I had a rhinoplasty in 2024. I just did it. I love it. I think that was, it was, in my opinion, the best rhinoplasty ever because it's my face, So,
Ah, of
but
course.
just the nostrils, the tip, everything. I'm still a little swollen, but it is a
Uh-huh.
huge difference. Like I used to feel so self-conscious with the middle of my face and it being so wide, and now I'm
Yeah.
just like, ugh, best
And
decision.
did you get all these procedures done with one doctor, or did you
Oh
go to
no.
multiple? Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I did my face and my S curve with Dr. Gabami, and then I
Okay.
did my ovule with Dr. Jalal Abadi, and then I did my breast augmentation with Joshua Jacobson in Beverly Hills, and
Mm-hmm.
then I did my nose with Dr. Deer. Yeah, incredible
Okay.
surgeon. I love him. I love them. They're
Uh,
great surgeons. So
Now, what would you say is your most transformative surgery that you got that just makes you, that completes it for you?
I want to say it's a big toss up. I want to say it's in between my facial sculpting surgery. That's like I
Okay.
have to say it's the one that honestly kind of went viral for me. That and yeah,
Okay.
that one was pretty viral. I like to think that I put buccal fat on the map. Not really, but like just on TikTok, I feel like because it went pretty crazy. And then my rhinoplasty is great, but I will say have to say my facial sculpting was pretty transformative, honestly. Like
And
we had a whole special for it.
oh, you
I
definitely have to send me your before and after buckle so I can put it up when, I do a little reel for us
yes.
so everyone can see and, message you or whatever if they have any questions.
Yeah, I mean, all of my before and afters are in my tagged photos on my Instagram, but I will
Hmm.
send you all of them so you can see it. But it's a huge difference. Like, I think we brought in from that before and after just like 200 patients, probably more, just to
That's
come and
so
have
good
surgery. Yeah, I
off
made a
one
lot of,
post.
yeah, well, it was like a couple, but we kept like throwing, just kind of like
Yeah.
nailing it in the head. But
Yeah.
it was pretty transformative. I love it.
Now, were you working as, doing the social media for these plastic surgeons before you got your first procedure, or did you get your first procedure first without doing what you're doing now?
No, so I've always been a very shy girl where I don't like to ask for anything. So if it's offered to me, then I'll do it. So I was working with Dr. Gavami and then they were like, "Hey, do you want to be our model for it?" And I was like, "Duh."
And Dr. Gavami, a very well-known plastic
Mhm.
surgeon in Beverly Hills.
Yeah,
So he did and look at the outcome,
I know, I
beautiful.
love
And
it.
plus, he got a bunch of he went viral for it.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he's a great surgeon. I think he does good stuff. So I feel like he did a great job with my results. But then again, like I was the perfect candidate for it. Like not everyone is going to be that candidate
Of
for
course.
all of these things together. But I feel like he did a good job with me.
And would you still have, say you weren't in this field or Dr. Gavami didn't offer it to you, do you think you would have still ended up doing the buccal fat eventually whenever you found out about it, or it wasn't really on your radar?
I think it's very expensive. Like that's the thing. So honestly, truthfully, as much as I would love, if I was in a position of like I don't have that much money to spend because they were, I think altogether everything was like around like 15 to 20,000. There's no way a
Yeah.
girl my age at that time, like 25,
For
um,
this part of your face, like people
for
are
all
spending
of it. Yeah, well,
for
this
all of
I
it.
think
Yeah,
is
the
like
lipo,
10.
the
Yeah.
buccal fat 10, and then plus the chin lipo. I forgotten
Hmm.
the
Fat
fat
22, yeah.
grafting. Yeah,
So it's expensive. I think like I think it would be very difficult to come up with that money. And I see why a lot of girls will start looking elsewhere, like outside of the country to find, a cheaper alternative.
of
I don't know
course.
if I would trust that. If I wasn't in the industry, I would try to save up as much as I can
Yeah.
um to do it, but I think
Yeah.
honestly like getting it for free for me was the best thing of my
That
life.
that was a blessing, yes.
Yeah.
And our last interview, my good friend Jay, he's a makeup artist. He went to Mexico to this plastic surgeon. He goes, just to test them out, I just got a buccal fat removal just to like experience, and then if nothing went wrong, I'm gonna go back and get my big surgery. And that's what he did. He goes, the buccal fat went great. He goes, I'm going back in 2 months and I'm getting everything else. And that was his
That's
little test in Mexico. I was like,
I feel like that's a
oh.
big difference from because this is just a quick little, one,
I
two.
know. I said, Jay, that was your tester? He goes, yeah. Like, you're
I've had
delusional.
friends get BBLs and other like with other surgeons out here, and they're like, yeah, that's not giving what I'm looking for. So then they go out of the country, like to Colombia, Dominican Republic, like, TJ. They all go out there because they're looking for that big, drastic, like
Yep. Change. Big old
difference.
booty.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
and cost efficient because here it's like it can go up to like 50,000, and
And
then
like I say, these Beverly Hills surgeons, at some point, you're just paying for the name.
you're really just paying for the name.
You are
I
paying
don't
for
think
the
it's
name
worth
to
it.
say you got it done from so and so.
Yeah, I always tell people, I'm like, listen, not everything is what you see. Just trust me. And I have a list of surgeons where I'm like, look, if you have a little more and you want this and that, go to this person. If you're
Yeah.
trying to, like,
You know what
say
you need? You know what you need to start up is like a consulting agency.
I get
That
it all
too.
the time.
Girl, that's what you need to do. Start charging people, because a lot of people message us and ask us, who do you recommend for this? Who do you recommend for this? And it's like, we don't, this is breaking tea. We don't like to give out so many recommendations. What we try to do is send out a list and do your research, right? We don't
Yeah.
want to send one name and God forbid something happens. Well, they said that this was the best rhinoplasty surgeon and this, you know
Hmm.
what I mean? We send a decent list from, do your own research and then pick. We want to help the girls out, but sometimes sending one surgeon is a little it's a little iffy. And plus we're
Yeah.
sending free patients, and you know what I
Yep.
mean. It's
Exactly.
it's a tricky situation.
Exactly. No, it is really tricky, and having that list, I feel like it would help so much. I just have never had a like I
You
always
should
am
look
like,
into
listen,
it.
I always get people telling me that they're like, you gotta just start charging for consulting,
Half
but
social media, half consulting agency right here.
yeah, that would be fun. I feel like that would be a lot of fun for me.
Yeah. Now, is there anything you wished you'd known before undergoing your first procedure, which was your buccal fat? Anything that you would have known, or even your BBL, because buccal fat's it's a smaller procedure, but like your breast aug, your BBL, like, darn, I wish I would have researched, or darn, I wish I would have paid more attention.
Yeah, I think for my face, no, honestly, I feel like it was
Easy,
straightforward.
straightforward.
Yeah. The only thing is the healing process. A lot, still get a lot of DMs where girls are like, when did you start seeing results? And honestly, I didn't start seeing results for my face until like month 3 or 4. So I was a little like, you know what? There's no way I could. I just felt that having that patience is so important before going into surgery, and reminding myself like, hey, this is normal. You're doing everything right. If I have felt any pain, like I would have gone and saw somebody, but I just kind of trust the process there. As for my breast dog, I wish I would have done a little bit more research on profiles. I feel like, I'm a little big because I'm 500 cc's, and I wish if I was a little bit, I wish I spent a little bit more time researching, because I would have kind of taking the time to realize, like, if I did this breast augmentation, I might look a little bit more top heavy. And I feel like in certain angles in the mirror, I look and I'm like, oh, hate this. And then sometimes I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh, love this.
Love it.
So
Same,
it's like,
girl.
yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
like, I wish I took a little bit more time to think about the high profile, maybe a smaller implant, because it would help with that idea in my
Cleavage
head.
and
Yeah, all of
yeah.
that. Yeah, because if I want cleavage, I have to. I mean, it's good, but like if I really want that va va boom, I got to wear a push up. And then
You
as for my
do. Yeah.
BBL, I just wish. I mean, I think it was. I don't know. I don't think there was anything I really could have done because it was within the practice I was working at.
Yeah. So you
So
had a lot of insight.
yeah, I mean, I knew in my head I would probably I was hoping I wouldn't have to, but in my head I kind of knew like later on down the line I'll probably have to do a second one at some point. But that's
Yeah.
where now I'm like, okay, if I really want to do this, I have to be realistic about what I want. So thinking about tummy tuck, like I have skin laxity, being realistic with those kind of results as well, and see if that's something
Mm-hmm.
that I'm prepared for. I think that's
Yeah.
a big thing, but I think those are the kind of thoughts I have in my head. With that, nose was like a no-brainer. I knew I wanted to do it because
Mm-hmm.
the first thing I ever done was my nose filler, because I was doing nose filler for 6 years. I never dissolved it. It was insane. I can't
And
believe I
nothing
did.
migrated?
No, well, it was starting to look like just very wide, and I had so
Yeah.
much filler in my whatever this is, like in between my brows. It was
Yeah.
so thick.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh
I was like,
man.
we gotta dissolve this. Or I would go to Dr. Deer's office, and he'd be like, let's just do your nose. I'm like, okay, tomorrow, tonight, like let's do it. But it took me like 2 times to dissolve, and then I
Yeah.
finally did it. I'm so glad. That was my first thing that I ever really had even considered doing, was the nose. So I'm glad I did that. That was incredible. Still healing from it, but really it was the most easiest process I've ever had to
Good.
really go through. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you didn't have any complications and all the
Yeah.
procedures went very smoothly for you, because, sometimes that is not the case, no matter even how experienced you are.
Oh
It's
yeah.
it's scary. And I always let people know there is a risk. We could tell you everything under the sun and you follow everything to a T, but still that sometimes there is a risk. Surgery is
Yeah.
still surgery, no matter how invasive or minimally invasive it is.
Yeah, my mom just had a full mommy makeover this summer, like a month
Ooh.
after my nose, and she had a problem because she's allergic to adhesive. And in the OR, we accidentally had we didn't think it was the steri strip. We were so careful with everything else. We weren't going to use
Yeah.
any Tegaderm, nothing. And then that we didn't know, or we didn't think that the steri strip would cause any issue,
And
but
it gave her a reaction.
it was bad. Yeah, we had to do so much. We actually ended up having to cut the incision where we closed the tummy tuck, and then had to do a new one because
New
it would just
incision.
end up getting infected and all of that. So she was in the
Oh
hospital for like
man.
a week, but she was
Oh,
okay. It's just,
But
having to deal with that.
little things like that, even that the surgeon does everything right or the anesthesiologist does everything right,
Hmm.
littlest thing such as a steri strip, a little piece of tape can cause a problem.
It's insane. Yeah, and she was considering going out of the country, and I was like, imagine if you did. Imagine. There's no way. So I'm so glad that I have this like network of surgeons that I'm able to refer her to
Yes.
and even collaborate with to help with her costs too.
Yeah.
It's just
And
kind of nice
how
to
old
have
is your
that.
mom,
She's
if you don't mind me asking?
59, I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was her
Yeah.
first like actually no, she had a rhinoplasty when she was younger, but this was like her first like surgery
Major
like
surgery at
yeah.
62.
Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah, it almost now it's like as if nothing ever like any negative thing ever happened. She's living it up. Like she's a
Living her
whole new
best life.
woman. Oh
I
yeah,
love that for her.
it's so incredible like to see that even internally with my family that what a difference surgery or like plastic surgery can do for somebody like just their entire being just change like you just see someone and they're glowing different, they're caring more about themselves, like it's just such a beautiful thing to witness. I think that's the reason why I stay in this industry or why I'm so obsessed with it because you
Hmm.
get to meet all these incredible people when their lives just change for the better.
Yeah,
It's
I
not the
love it.
case like for everyone, but
For everyone, yeah.
it's
But your whole lifestyle changes. Once you start looking better, you feel better. You want to do more. You want to take vitamins. You want to get your 10K steps. You want to drink green juice. You want to do
yeah.
skincare. Like it goes more than just plastic surgery. Sometimes it changes a person's whole life.
No, absolutely. Like my mom was not dating for like ever. Now she's like men are here at the
I
door waiting for
love
her.
that.
So it's so beautiful to see.
Get it, mama.
Yeah.
Now, what trends, you're on social media a lot, what trends do you see emerging in the plastic surgery field right now? Like something that maybe was big back in the day, it's coming back, or anything that you kind of see?
Yeah, I think a huge thing that I'm noticing, I don't think this was really so much back in the day, but I think a lot of people are now just really trying to do fat transfer to breast. I feel like it's a huge, huge procedure that
It
people really
is.
want to try avoiding implants if they can,
Yes.
and just doing a little something like, with the fat transfer. It's not for everyone though. If you're looking for a certain type of, look, sometimes implants are just the best
If you
scenario.
want cleavage or, throwing, you're just filling up space when you're transferring
Yeah,
the fat. And still, anything that is heavier sits lower. So they're not going to be as perky as an implant would be. And if you're okay with
exactly.
that, then that's your vibe.
Yeah, exactly. I've been noticing that a lot. And then I think another thing that I'm noticing too is a lot more people are starting to, I mean, I think a lot more people are starting to do focus on, I mean, I think this has always been there, but like arm lipo, just arm lipo, like not even caring about anything else. People are really, I see a lot more younger girls just focusing on their arms, or chin is always a big thing as well. I think that's the number one,
And
honestly.
it is. I don't know how I feel about it because a lot of people getting chin and arm lipo are going air sculpt. They're going awake. And awake lipo, I've said this multiple times and I stand by it. It's almost the biggest scam to me.
Oh my
They
God,
charge
wait, I
you
made a video on this.
they charge you an arm and a leg for awake lipo because it is safer. It's There's still a lot of risks in this. And then a lot of people don't know by law, they can only take out a certain amount of fat, right?
Yeah.
So if it's, I think it's for 5 liters if nothing's changed. I could
I
be
thought it was 5 or 6. It's 5 or 6 for sure. One of them.
5 or 6 is one of them as the most that they can take out in one setting, right? So if I don't know if you pull out 2.5 to, I don't know if you do lower abdominal lipo and you have a lot going on, you're going to need more than 5 liters or 6 liters. Or if you can try to combine areas, I don't know. And they just charge so much money. The results are weak.
Yeah.
It's
Trust me.
unless
I
unless like you have like the tiniest areas that you want to like really fix, but you're probably already perfect. It's really a scam.
it's so funny. I made a video about this like a year or two ago on TikTok, and I was like, air sculpting. I mean, not to name places, but like any kind of like awake lipo clinics, that's a scam. It's a
It
scam.
is.
Of course, they're going to say these things because they can only do awake procedures. They can't really
Yeah,
do anything else. But so many people still go to it and they get the most
I know.
minimal results. I
I
will say
know.
though, my mind kind of changed in the last year because working with Dr. Gabe, before working with him, I was always
Dr.
like,
Gabe. You
Angel,
know his
love me.
nurse, his used to be nurse Paula.
I don't think I met her. Oh, I would
No,
have.
yeah, Dr. Gabe was renting out an OR from my surgeon.
Really?
So,
Oh, I
yeah,
love
and then his
that.
nurse was Paula, which is my grandmother's name. So I remembered her name like nothing. But she was very sweet. She works for Dr. Chaudhry now, but
Oh,
Dr.
yeah.
Dr. Gabe is really cool. So,
Yeah, I love Dr. Gabe. He's such a great. I just love working with him. He's so amazing. He
mhm.
changed my mind, honestly, about Wake Lipo because I see the results that he's getting with it. And I'm like, you know what? I guess it's really in the hand of the provider. I mean, I've always been the person that's like, I'd rather just knock me out and get everything you can. Like, I don't care. But
Yeah.
when I see he even worked on my social media girl who she did chin lipo and arm lipo and she looks incredible. Like he did such a great job on her. I've seen like awake BBLs and they're transformative too. But
Yeah.
it's not the case everywhere. Like there's not
It's
Gabes
really not.
everywhere.
No,
I would
it's a very slim chance that you're going to fall into the hand of a good surgeon that does awake lipo.
Yeah. And
Very
you don't even
slim.
know who you're going to see when you go to these clinics. Like you have no idea until maybe the day of because they kind of like just partner you with whoever when you're calling in. It's not like
So,
you're going to know the real results.
and a lot of people don't know this. So, without saying names, there are a handful of surgery centers that promote themselves. Let's say, I'm going to make up a fake name, you guys. Plastic Surgery Institute, whatever, in Los Angeles, that hold about 3 to 6 surgeons that do different things: breasts, arms, butt, whatever. Their prices are very good. Most of their surgeons are probably very new. They're new surgeons out of school trying to build their practice, right? And their prices are so good. We're going to give you $3,500 for a breast dog. And you're like, oh my God. You go in and you don't know, like you said, you don't know what surgeon you're getting. We're going to place you with this surgeon because we feel that it's best, that this fits what you're looking for. And it could be a surgeon a year out of school starting his practice, but what got you was the $3,500. Like,
I see
it's
it all the
scary.
time. I've worked with surgeons too, like that, like that because sometimes when you work or go to a surgeon, they're not only working in their private practice, they're still doing work in other places. Like they're still,
Yes.
especially when they're new, they're still signed. They could be doing, they could be at the hospital, they could be in
Yep.
these like these surgery centers or these med spa surgery
The
places.
med spa
Yeah.
places are what get me.
Yes,
Oh,
there's a ton, and I see it online a lot.
the med
And
spas are scary, you guys.
they
Be
don't name
aware.
their surgeons on purpose, so you don't know who you're going to. You really have to. I mean, I always tell people who are like, "Oh, what do you think of this place?" I'm like, "Well, which surgeon? Like, how do you know the surgeon that's going to be working on you?
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't meet them till a day up, and that's something I could never, ever, ever do." So I tell
Nope.
friends
Not
and
even for
family,
3,500.
it's not worth. That's if it's that low, it's too good to be true. Like, uh,
Yeah.
yeah, but the price, I will say, like, even friends of mine, anywhere, anytime they think of surgery, they're like, oh, if the price is right, I'm gonna do it. Like, I'd rather spend more to make sure that I know the surgeon or like I've been following
Reassurance.
them. Yeah, like I would spend more. For that, I don't think I would spend 15,000, 20,000 on buccal fat, but I would definitely like because this is not worth that much.
Yeah.
But there are great surgeons that can give you, with good costs to give you a great result too.
Yes.
But yeah, I just think knowing the surgeon, building a relationship with them, and feeling connected to them prior to the procedure is very important
Yeah.
because you really want to see how their office is, communicative with you. Because what if something does go wrong? Are they going to ghost you afterwards? Like that's
Probably.
something.
At these med spas, you're 100%
Yeah,
getting ghosted.
yeah. Good luck. How are you going to call them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that a lot. The ghosting is like ghost working in an office and ghosting
They
patients is
get your money,
insane.
you get the surgery, whatever happens after that, none of their business. It's sad.
Horrible. Yeah, I really want to build another list about bedside manner.
That too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane.
But going back to trends really quickly, another trend that I've been seeing a lot right now is rib
Oh
removal.
yeah. Oh my God,
It
that is
is,
huge.
it's in the past year, maybe a little bit longer, but I've been seeing it a year. Like it is picking up. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and the technology and the practices, they're on it. They know what to do. They know that little incision. They know where to break the rib. They're really promoting it as a minimally invasive procedure, and it looks
Yeah.
like it. I mean, but that is getting big, like
Oh
really
yeah.
big.
I've been, I wouldn't say like maybe 3 years ago, I was starting to talk about it. I was like, you know what? I see so many people doing it, and it doesn't look, it doesn't look how we used to think it would be. A lot of surgeons, when I would bring it up to them to ask them talk about it, they were like, "No, I don't want to talk about it." But now they're like,
Taboo,
"Oh, I want
taboo.
to do
Yeah,
it. Like, I'm flying out to learn about it right now. Actually, like, you
yeah.
want to be my first patient to try it on? Like, it's just, it's. Personally, I would do it if I was a candidate. I would definitely do it. I don't have a problem with them. I would do anything once or twice.
Yeah.
But I think it works. I mean, listen, if you are someone who's a candidate for it
You're
and
gonna
it's
drop
gonna
some
help
inches
you,
off the waist.
yeah, and you
Yeah.
want that drastic like difference.
Hourglass.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
especially with people who, when they are looking for BBLs, I feel like a lot of patients they don't take in or they don't account for like their rib cage because we all have different ribs. So if this is something that's going to kind of help build that your desired proportions or whatever, why not do it? I would do it. I think it's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen problems with it, so we'll see.
Definitely. Definitely. Now, what advice would you give to someone looking for a plastic surgeon? What to watch out for? The girls at home, they're wanting to book some surgeries. Any advice that you can give them for looking for a plastic surgeon? Any flags, green or red?
I think the best advice I can give to somebody looking for a surgeon is, do a consult. Don't do too many because you don't want to cloud your judgment too much. But
Hmm.
consult with the ones that you are very interested in and are, consistently putting on their page of their results, like results that you are interested in and you feel like they're realistic to you. A big green flag for me when you're meeting with the surgeon is that they're listening to what you want and asking you about the things that are not just a concern, but the positive things that you like about yourself. Like, like, oh, what do you like about this? Or what do you not like about that? And try
Hmm.
to not try to upsell you into different, procedures unless they are truly like, hey, this is a recommendation that might work well with you. I think those are
Hmm.
green flags. But where it starts to get a little bit more red flags is when they're like, you should do this. I think you should do seven different procedures where you're only going in for one. Um,
Yeah.
and that's where it
Just
starts
for a
to
cash grab.
yeah, I see that a
Yeah.
lot. Another other things to kind of keep an eye out for, either positive or negative, I think, is when you are going into office, see how their staff is with you, their medical assistants, how basically like kind of seeing the process of going in for that consultation, how the communication is online with everyone. If you're assigned to a specific person, not just speaking to the entire
Yeah.
staff. Um,
Because
and then,
if you don't have a lot of follow up prior to your surgery, there's a likely chance you're not going to have a lot of follow up after your surgery when you
yeah.
really need it.
Oh, yeah. Especially, I would say something that I've seen before with a friend who's gone to a surgeon, like not in LA. So they got a breast augmentation, they paid, and then no one followed up after. No one called. They didn't even ask them to come in. They didn't even ask how they're doing. They kind of just were asking me for, like, hey, does this look normal? They couldn't get in touch with anyone. And that's something that you want to avoid. And I think
Definitely.
you just have to do your research and really see. I know it's something a lot of people are going, it's like, look, I want that result and that's it. But you kind of have to think about the bigger picture of like who you're working with because if something does go wrong, you want to make sure you're in great hands. Looking at, making sure they're board certified. I think that's the number one thing, that it's a green flag. And then yeah, just seeing their rapport. If you know people that have gone to them, check Reddit. I love using Reddit. I love to hear other stories.
Yes.
Yeah, but I do take it with a grain of salt because,
Yes.
people are a little dramatic, so you kind of
A
have
lot
to.
of dramatic.
Yeah. Same with reviews. I'm like, look, everyone's gonna have a bad review because not every, you know what I mean? Not everyone works with
A lot of
everyone.
look, a lot of people are spending a lot of money. When you spend that much money, thousands of dollars, whether it's 5,000, 10,000, or 30,000, you have high expectations.
Yeah.
So, and sadly, sometimes too high where, those expectations are going to be broken. And that's all you could look great, but one thing goes wrong, that's all you're going to hear about. So you do have to take it with a grain of salt.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. I think rhinoplasty is one of those things that you need to do entire years of research on, honestly. Like, it's not something you
Really?
can just wake up and go do. No. I see so many, there's just always, it has a very high complication rate. There's just,
Hmm.
I know, let's say I know like 20 girls, 10 out of those 20 girls, maybe even more than that, are going to get some kind of revision. And that is because it's the middle of your face.
Yes.
I've seen a lot of complications from it. It's something you want to make sure you go to a right doctor. You don't want to spend 4K on that. Like, going back to me saying that I wouldn't spend 25,000 buccal fat, but I would spend like 25,000 on a good
Yeah.
rhinoplasty surgeon
Yeah.
because that's the middle of your face. You don't want to mess with that. I
Yeah.
think that's yeah.
And I've worked with one of the top rhinoplasty surgeons
Yeah.
almost in the world. I worked with, Raj Kanodia, and seeing, his rhinos and his processes and, the other ones that charge $8,000. It's just like there is a major difference, and follow up in care. And he's seeing patients the next day. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of surgeons, I'll see you back in 3 to 5 days or 5 to 7 or whatever. But
No.
literally the next day he's seeing you, and,
Yeah. I love
it's really great.
I love feeling like my surgeon's thinking about me. Like, I know after every surgery I've had, it's like a call from my surgeon, like, hey, how are you doing? Like, or, later on down the line, asking whoever's taking care of me if I'm not, not all there. Like, they're asking my mom, or they're asking, my family, like, how I'm doing. Or I'm back the next day to, so they can see how I'm doing. And even if it's like a 5-minute appointment, you want to go to these things because you want to make sure everything's going right. I wouldn't play around with nose. That's one thing I would never play around with. Like, BBL, you can whatever, you could revise it, but nose is it's just so tricky.
Yeah, you start getting to your second and third and fourth surgery, you are never going to get what you wanted.
Absolutely. You need to spend, if I was getting to my second, third, fourth rhinoplasty, I'm spending every dollar I can on a great surgeon to just get it back to baseline at least. Like, I don't even care about the segs anymore. It's more preserving whatever tissue, cartilage, whatever is there.
Cartilage, soft tissue, all that, minimize scarring. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel you, girl.
Yeah. There's some things you don't want to cut the cost. Sorry.
Yeah. And, last question to pick your brain. Have you, so back when I got my breast aug, back in the day, which was, I think we're going on, oh my God, we're in 2025. I think I got it 2019, 6 years ago now. A lot of surgeons back then were doing, you get a discount for social media, right? I did. I got a discount for social media for them to use my photos if they wanted to. My face wasn't in it, obviously. But do you still see that a lot, kind of with the surgeons that you work for, that if, people want to use their images, that they get a discount, or are surgeons not really offering that anymore?
I think surgeons still love it. I know some that are like, I could care less. Like, either you want to post or you don't want to post. I'm not, the price is what it is. And then a lot of surgeons I work with, they love it. They love collaborating. They love to share the stories. I think most of the surgeons that I work with are very interested in giving a discount because they love to have their results being shared publicly. I feel like there are some surgeons, though, that will say they're giving a discount, and this is not anyone I work with, but from what I've seen, they'll say they're giving a discount, they'll rack the price up higher, and then bring it back down lower, or make it look like they're giving you
Like
something.
they discount.
Oh my gosh, and it's just crazy to me to see that. But, or just to make it so they still are making a profit from it. But a lot
I
of
know,
surgeons
it's
I work
like,
with,
sir, you can go without the $500 or the $1,250 or whatever, $750, whatever your discount is.
Yeah, I mean, they make it seem like, okay, you're getting 5,000 off when, please, it's
no.
insane.
And
No,
what's the most that you have actually seen that a surgeon will take off for using, let's say, breast aug before and after photos? What's the most that you've kind of seen a surgeon, all right, we'll take off 800 or whatever?
I've seen a surgeon just do OR and anesthesia fees for like a very big influencer, like basically like a flat rate of like 5K, and that's really low to me. Like, it's like what, $2,000 for implants maybe, or maybe 1,000, something like that. and then you're just paying for the staff and then OR time.
OR time.
Yeah. So I've seen like them just charge that. But let's say if it's like internal, like you and I mean, we get huge discounts. I know I pretty much get it for nothing. So not so much anymore, but back in the day, everything was like free.
Cheaper. I know.
It felt free because how cheap it was. But yeah, I think for breast augmentation, like the lowest I've seen is like 5K for external.
Yeah, I think my discount, if I could remember correctly, I would have to look at my paperwork. I think I got $500 off for social media usage, and this was before I was in plastic surgery. I was straight out of nursing school getting it done, so I didn't know anything. I was like, okay, $500, cool.
Now I'm like, listen, if I'm posting this and that,
yeah,
I'm gonna come up with a good negotiation with that.
Yeah, but you guys, you guys can always ask your plastic surgeons if you care. If you want looking for a little bit more of a discount, see if they offer a social media fee. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And of course, they'll take your face out and they'll take off tattoos, so no one will find out it's you. But yeah,
I love the people that are sharing their journey like on TikTok. That is just so helpful. If you're someone who's thinking that they want to share it, obviously it's up to you, but do it because it really helps other people. Like, you have no idea, even if you feel like nobody's watching, people are still bringing your results and your stories into those surgeons, being like, hey, I love what they did here and this is what I want. So it does help a lot of people.
It does, yeah. Sharing your journeys. I know it's scary, especially if you're not on social media. I get it so much, and you don't want thousands of people in your business, but honestly, it really does help 100%. Others, sharing your experience, definitely. So, okay. Are you still muted?
Am I muted now? Oh no, I'm talking now. Thank God.
No, you're good. But thank you so much for coming on. This was definitely great insight into, a social media person in plastic surgery, working with plastic surgeons, and also getting plastic surgery yourself. It's been very interesting, and we're so glad to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me. I love it. This is my passion. This is an industry that I'm obsessed with. Like, if I go back in time, I would be a surgeon, but we're here. So I'm just glad I can share stories.
We're here. Yes. So thank you guys. If you guys have any questions, you know where to find us, All Things Plastics, on all social media platforms. And then on our page, we will be tagging Lauren as well. So if you guys have any questions for her, so it was great. I love this episode, and we'll definitely stay in contact. It was a pleasure meeting you.
It was such a pleasure meeting you too. Thank you so much.
Of course. All right, you guys, thank you so much. And we'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.